Welcome back, developers, to another explainer. So today, we are moving beyond just evaluating code that's already been written. We're going to explore how to proactively assign responsibilities right from the start of your software architecture. We're talking about Craig Larman's grasp principles and the famous Law of Demeter. Look, if you already know your solid principles inside and out, and I bet you do, this is going to be the absolute perfect complementary lens for you. It really helps answer that fundamental design question: who exactly should be responsible for this?
All right, let's take a quick look at our roadmap. We'll kick things off by stepping beyond solid. Then, do a fast tour of the 9 grasp patterns. After that, we'll zoom way in on the big 3 patterns you'll actually use every day. Tackle the Law of Demeter, figure out how to refactor those messy object graphs, and finally, wrap up with some real-world pragmatism for your next sprint.
Okay, let's jump right into Section 1, Beyond Solid, Assigning Responsibilities.
So you already know the solid principles. They are literally the industry standard for making object-oriented code flexible and maintainable. But listen, we really shouldn't view solid and grasp as competitors. Not at all. Think of solid as your trusty magnifying glass. It's highly diagnostic, right? It helps you inspect existing code to see if, say, a class has too many reasons to change or if your interfaces are getting a bit too fat. Grasp, on the other hand, it acts more like a blueprint. It's a set of proactive patterns designed to help you answer, wait, who should actually do this work before you even type a single line of code?
Moving right along to Section 2, the 9 grasp patterns.
Now, these were originally introduced by Craig Larman way back in 1997, and they give us an incredibly complete vocabulary for object-oriented design. We're going to breeze through this rapid fire, so buckle up. We've got information expert, creator, controller, low coupling, high cohesion, polymorphism, pure fabrication, indirection, and protected variations. Boom. It is a massive, comprehensive toolkit for assigning work.
Let's move into Section 3, the big 3 in practice.
Okay, having seen that giant list, let's slow the pace down a bit. We're going to drill into the 3 patterns you are actually going to use every single day. Because, let's be real, when you're staring at a blank IDE, the most fundamental question you can ask yourself is, out of all these classes, who actually does the work? Where is this logic supposed to live?
Well, that brings us to our first crucial pattern, Information Expert. The rule here is super straightforward. The class that contains the information should be the one to process it. So instead of creating some separate service class that just awkwardly pulls data out of a domain object to run a calculation, the object with the data should just do the calculation itself. It's kind of the ultimate enforcement of encapsulation. You're keeping the data and the methods that operate on that data sitting comfortably in the exact same room.
Next up in our architectural planning, who creates the object? How do these things safely come into existence in the first place?
That's where the creator pattern comes in. The rule here is brilliantly simple. If Class A contains, aggregates, or just closely uses Class B, well, then Class A should probably be the one to instantiate Class B. By doing this, we keep our coupling incredibly low. We're basically ensuring that objects are born exactly where they're going to live and be used, rather than just scattering the new keyword randomly all over our application.
But let's face reality for a second. What happens when assigning a responsibility to an existing real-world domain object completely wrecks your high cohesion? Like, what if adding a bunch of database-saving logic to a simple book class just makes it ridiculously complex?
That's exactly when you use a pure fabrication. This is a completely made-up class that absolutely does not exist in the real-world problem domain. Honestly, concepts like services or repositories or data access objects, those are all pure fabrications. We invent them specifically to save our architecture from becoming an entangled mess. It's kind of like inventing a bureaucratic middle manager just to handle the paperwork, right? It ensures our core domain objects stay clean, focused, and free of clutter.
All right, let's shift gears to Section 4, the Law of Demeter.
Let's pivot from static design over to runtime execution. Be honest with me here. We have all seen this villain in our codebase, this canonical train wreck of chained getters. It is exactly the kind of tight coupling the Law of Demeter warns us against. When you reach deep into an object, grab its internal components, and then grab components from those components, man, your code becomes incredibly fragile.
The Law of Demeter gives us a much-needed strict boundary. It states that a method should really only interact with its immediate friends. That means itself, objects passed in as parameters, objects it creates directly, or its own direct subcomponents.
By strictly limiting an object's interactions to just its immediate neighbors, we prevent changes in some distant random part of the system from triggering a massive chain reaction of failures. Think of it as the runtime cousin of low coupling.
Section 5. Refactoring the object graph.
So, how do we actually defeat that long gitter chain and refactor this into code that's joyful to maintain? Well, it requires a major shift in mindset, usually called tell, don't ask. Before, you might query an object's internal state, like asking a bank account for its balance to see if you're allowed to make a withdrawal. But that violates encapsulation. After the refactor, you simply tell the nearest object what to do. You just tell the bank account, hey, perform a withdrawal, and it handles its own internal logic to figure out if that's feasible. You ask your neighbor to do the work for you.
Which brings us to Section 6, Pragmatism and Strangers.
Because as seasoned developers, we know there are absolutely no silver bullets in software engineering. Applying any principle dogmatically is a recipe for disaster. If you adhere too strictly to the law of Demeter everywhere in your system, you can actually end up with a massive swarm of totally useless one-line delegation methods. Your classes just become these annoying middlemen, passing messages along, which completely clutters up your code and obscures what the system is actually trying to do.
So, this requires some pragmatic nuance. You should fiercely enforce Demeter in your core domain logic, where protecting encapsulation and enforcing behavior is absolutely paramount. But you should relax it entirely when you're just passing around pure data structures like DTOs, or when you're writing test fixtures that need easy, direct access to setup state. Remember, context is literally everything.
Take this simple mantra into your next design review to dramatically improve your system architecture. Don't talk to strangers. Ask your neighbor. Grasp and Demeter don't replace Solid, they just give you the vocabulary to assign work perfectly from day one. So, I want you to look at your current project right now. Will you be telling your objects what to do tomorrow? Or are you still just asking them for their data? Thanks for joining me on this explainer, and I'll catch you in the next one.